going on, everybody? Happy Monday. I'm in for Ham. That means I'm with my man BJ. Very excited to talk some hoops. Big boy slate, 10 games. Don't have much time to waste right away. Injury report, laundry list like usual. Gonna say hi to people in chat first, and I'll throw it to you, BJ. Takedowns in here. Jose, Mark, Kai, Little Neck, Richard, Justin Rice, William, Michael, Mark Davers, Hebrew Cheetah, what's going on? Lyle, MN Holla, Wardo, Daniels, Lachlan, Al Money, Matt, Philly fan. Appreciate every single one hanging out. Many familiar faces always in YouTube chat, in the Discord. Love seeing familiar ones. Hope everybody out there having a good Monday. BJ, how's your Monday going?
Yeah, man, it's good. Excited to wake up on Monday morning and see all these games. You know, we get one more last chance to kind of stab for this live final and hopefully join our boy Rio out there. Other than that, I'm good, man. Tomorrow I got Elite 8. So to win my bracket in the President's Cup. So big boy golf match tomorrow. So hopefully we can bring that home and be in the Final Four.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you about it because I know it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe even, I can't remember, 2, 3. When I was subbing in for a show that you had your first round and you had to come back. So that was 64 and you're still going. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I tried to give it away. I was up 3 with 5 holes left. And then I got the, whatever you want to call that, the Jordan Spieth yips, all that stuff. Gave it up late and then won 18. So I was able to bring it home. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Been a lot of fun, but hopefully we bring home a championship for SHIPIT Nation.
That's awesome. Good luck with that for sure. Definitely let me know how it all ends up going. Who else came in here? Jake came in here. NY came in. OS, Big Ed, Jonathan. Appreciate all you all hanging out again. All we ask is like button, subscribe button. We will be screen sharing SaberSim over here, the best optimizer out there. Many of you guys already know about it. If you're not a member, if you don't know about it, there's no better deal out there than you get all of our content with SaberSim. You get all of our content, projections, ownership, core reports, slate plan, the stone with SaberSim. Only an extra $20. If you want the core package, gets you 150 lineups. $30 more than that. The best deal gets you 350 more lineups and projections and ownership for sports that we offer, that SaberSim has as well. So you get SaberSim and SHIPIT Nation projections. You can average it, etc. And you get it for sports that we don't offer, like college basketball, tennis. If they have it and we don't, League of Legends, you do still get that as well. Shout out to Smarty in the college basketball Discord. I've been in there a lot. It's March Madness, one of my favorite times of the year. Smarty's been awesome helping people for DFS in the college basketball streets. I've been asking about little sports betting. Very excited for week 1 in March Madness. Tennis, Pickett's always in there grinding. There's soccer, K-Gold. Even if we don't offer it, we have those spots in Discord. Members, a lot of knowledgeable ones helping out there. Best community by far. Just the Discord alone, I think, is worth the price of admission at SHIPIT Nation. Always want to keep it low, pay less for content, play more in your contest. If you do play a lot in your contests already, I think maybe checking out the ultimate package, the Sims, 5,000 lineups, contest Sims with SaberSim is a good idea. $297 your first 30 days, goes up to $321 after that. Again, starter is the best value for most. If you want to check it out, we will be screen sharing SaberSim. When BJ's talking, I will be going through kind of making changes and stuff that I would be doing. Again, I'm going to take the average. This is starter ultimate if you have it. The average of both SHIPIT Nation and SaberSim projections that you can see up here. 10 games, a lot of them, and it is spread out. So this is Mountain Time, 7:30 Eastern is the start time. 1 game then, 3 games at 8, then we get an hour window, 1 game at 9, then multiple games at 10 p.m. Eastern with the last game at 10:30 Eastern. So got to be locked in at your computer all night. Injury news, we'll have plenty of it. Again, projections, ownership, everything will be updated. Projections, like always, ownership's updated to the first game. Very hard to update ownership after that. But definitely, if you have SaberSim, you have to use the late swap feature. Very, very good for that. Takes into consideration ownership going on. If you're on the ultimate package, like ownership that's already locked, it has that in. So then it changes the projection ownership moving forward for other games since you have more information that you need. Also, a cool thing, last thing, when you do have the ultimate package, you will have, this will be like live projections. They do update. Like, I don't know if it's every 10 minutes. I don't know exact, but they updates when the games are going. If Cade is like 75, they do reflect that in the Sims. And if you don't have Cade, they know that you can't really win. So it changes your late swaps that way. If you have Cade, it does project your Sim ROI, your chance to win as the slate goes on as well. So many awesome features in there with SaberSim. Again, you can do a lot of different stuff. with our projections, with theirs. You can weight it. Enough of me talking, though. BJ, any initial thoughts, broad slate overview? If not, because there's so many games, so many injuries, we'll just go game by game and attack it that way.
Yeah, I think you said it there. I think we're waiting on so much news. We're getting a little bit of it. We just got the Raptors stuff. Surprised to see the Jazz injury report, but I think, it just kind of the same thing we've talked about. We're going to talk about a game, think about the scenarios and what the outcomes are from the injuries and just kind of work your way through the night and make the best decision that you can.
Absolutely. We're going to start it off. No time to waste. First game of the night, 7:30 Eastern on an island of its own. Only game then. Miami Heat taking on the New York Knicks. Knicks 7-point favorites. 209.5 total, the lowest on the slate. You don't really get too many 209.5s. So very low total. Decent spread at 7 for the Knicks. Injuries on the Miami side. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. Jovic is out. That is all I'm seeing. Oh, Alec Burks is also out. So Jovic, Burks out. Wiggins questionable. On the Knicks side, no Jalen Brunson. So pretty big news there. No one on the injury list after that. I sort by ownership in this game. No one above 10%. Sort by value, like the 5X range I'm always looking at, one player above 5X. And again, when you play players in this game, you are limiting roster spots for later that you are able to swap on. I do not see myself getting much of this game at all. Any low-owned pieces you can make a case for.
Yeah, you said it best. I mean, to kind of give you a broad slate, yes, 209. I mean, geez, man, with the Magic playing in this game, that's really the only team I can remember this season with such a low game total. But both are struggling on offense. The Heat are terrible on defense as of late. The Knicks have been okay, but, they still have that little issue with the ball handler and the pick and roll. So I'll just kind of leave it short with the Heat. It's, I don't like him, but it's going to be Tyler Hero bust for me if I do end up getting that piece. Obviously had a stinker. He's been producing well since the All-Star break. Very low owned for good reason. But to kind of pick my favorite play from the Heat, it would be him. Just trying to take advantage of that price coming down a little bit. And, kind of being the primary ball handler that's going to take a ton of shots. So if you're looking to get to this game, I don't mind him. Don't, recognize it as a play on the slate. And then to keep it short with the Knicks side too. I mean, it's really just Miles McBride, 5,500. He's been getting, his mid to high 30s in minutes since the Brunson stuff. He's been producing decently. But this is a really tough environment. Yes, you can make the case for playing 5,500 and leaving, not playing somebody at that range for the other 9 games, just because the Heat have been so bad defensively. Don't love it, but I do get it as a play at 5,500. And then, Cat a little bit. I mean, he's 10K. He's been playing okay, I would say. But I mean, we're going to get a low on Cat at 10K. Versus struggling Heat defense. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. To touch on Bridges, Hart, and OG. I mean, OG's been playing the best of the three over the last 3, 4, 5 games since the Brunson stuff, but don't make a case to have any plays really in this game or even the next one for that matter.
I agree. Slate starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's how I'm attacking it too. Even if you don't like the next one much, we still do have 3 games that lock at 8. Only game that locks there at 4:30. If I had to pick anyone, it's probably Cat. I guess maybe it's him or Hero. It's like a spend that if they get you 6X, 6.3X, they're going to be super, super low owned. You only take one roster spot. We have enough value late. Most of my lineups, though, will have absolutely nothing in this game. Slate does lock at 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, no hot take there. When I sorted by ownership, no one projected above 10%. All right, let's keep it rolling to this next game. Makes sense why you don't like too much. I mean, man, these injuries on the Philly side, it's been awful the past month. It's going to be awful till the season ends.
It's been awful. It's been awful playing them too. Yes. We had that one slate where it was like, I believe it was 5 optimal Sixers. And then the prices came up and everybody's still getting to it. And like I said in the Discord yesterday, I degen the early slate and I'm thinking, what am I doing? These guys are on the slate, but it's been ugly.
It has been ugly, no doubt. See if you have anything in this game, though. 16-point favorites are the Houston Rockets. Taking on the 76ers, 223 total in this one. I'll read the Rockets injury report first because it's a lot easier for me. No Amin Thompson, no Reed Shepherd. That's all we got there. Philly side, start with our no's. Of course, Embiid, no. No Maxey, no Paul George, no Andre Drummond, no Kelly Oubre, no Jared McCain, of course, no Lonnie Walker, no Adam Bona, no Eric Gordon, no Kyle Lowry. Yabusele is questionable. I don't know if you have any lean on Yabusele. The thing is, that is important news. I guess I don't necessarily know how many Sixers you then want to go to, but the fact of, I mean, it's their second best player outside of Quentin Grimes right now. It's another big that would be gone. Again, they don't have Bona right now. All the other guys I did mention, like, what does that do to an Alex Reese if there's no Yabusele? O'Shea Brissett, shout out O'Shea Brissett. He's probably my favorite. I always love playing O'Shea. I would like him more if Yabusele's gone. Always like play him on the Pacers. He's just a really good point per minute producer. Athletic guy, can fill up the stat sheet in a hurry. Do we need Yabusele to be out to get to any of these guys? And if so, O'Shea, Ricky Council, the two I'm looking at. But help me with that. And then Rocket side, obviously no Amin Thompson, but they're 16-point favorites. Outside, I don't know. I always like Tari Eason. That price is up there, though. I don't know how many Rockets I want.
Yeah, no, really interesting game from that standpoint. I'll start with the first kind of thought, when you were mentioning Philly. It's just tough, man. I mean, these guys were no problem to target, in the 3 to 4K ranges, but now we're staring at a $5,200 Ricky Council, a 6K Jared Butler, an $8,100 Quentin Grimes. Yes, your first question, Yabu being out is going to dictate, the Brissett and the Alex Reese stuff for me. I'm hoping he is out because then it'll make it a little bit easier. I don't love them as plays at 4K and 4,100. I guess, aside from that, if Yabu is rolled in, you could definitely make a case for a $5,200 Ricky Council and then a 6K Jared Butler. I don't want to get to the Quentin Grimes stuff. I mean, the joke, that I saw Ham kind of mention yesterday was, the young MJ going off for 23 again last night. He's just too much. 10 games. I'm not going to touch 8,100. And the same goes for these other guys with Council and Butler. I mean, they're going to play 30 minutes, I'm guessing, and that's fair. And, we've seen, these guys, outproduce tags, but now we're flirting with that line of, you're pretty much dead in the water if they don't score well or if Ricky Council doesn't rebound well, whatever it may be. So I don't mind it. I don't suggest it as a play, but there's a reason why they're going to get some ownership. And then, to kind of finish my thought on another game that I don't really like for the Houston stuff. I mean, you mentioned it. It's 16, it opened up at 15. Now it's up to 16. You can make cases for these guys. Like you said, Tari Eason at 62, Sengun at 96. I guess not at 96, but, he's in a great spot. I mean, the Sixers haven't been able to stop anybody at the rim. So, yeah, I'm okay. But, I mean, damn, dude, 8 games. I kind of want to make it 10 games. I kind of want to make it an 8-game slate. I just don't anticipating these guys get that extra rotation of 5 or 6 minutes. And at elevated tags, it's really hard to make a case for really essentially everybody in the starting lineup. If we're talking blowouts, I guess you can get behind $3,600, Steven Adams or a 3K Holiday. But I think we're going to get a ton of injury news as we keep going down the list. And these are going to become better values than hoping for a blowout with a few of these guys.
100%. You and I are lockstep. Again, when we have so many games like today with 10, you can make it a lot smaller slate. And it's a lot easier to cross off these earlier games when we have a lot of late news. Again, this game starts at 4 or 7:30 Eastern. These games starts at 10. That's 2.5 hour window that we have plenty of games to wait on and a lot of news in these last games too. So I don't want too many roster spots locked up in these first 2 games. My favorite would be O'Shea Brissett, assuming Yabusele is out at 4K. But I would need him to be out. If he's in, probably a full fade in this game. Tari Eason, fine on Houston, but that price tag's up there now, like 6'2". 35 on this slate probably is not enough at 6'2". It's a big boy slate.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think you need 40 from him with 10, especially at that position. I mean, I believe he's small forward eligible now. Am I mistaken on that?
Let's go. Let me check right here. Houston, he is.
No, he's still power forward only. Yeah, I don't want to mess with it. And, just to touch on some of those Philly guys, Houston's been playing so well on defense. Like, I don't recommend it as a play. It's more of just like, hey, it's tough to – I know the prices are huge, but 30, 31 minutes, what could be a blowout? They could get to value, but I'm not recommending it as a play.
Absolutely. Let's hopefully go to a better game. And it's hard to get much worse than these first 2. Detroit Pistons, 6.5-point favorites over the New Orleans Pelicans, 234.5 total. Injuries on the Detroit side. Yeah, nothing new on the Detroit side. For the Pelicans, big news here. We have Zion questionable, Messi questionable, Kelly Olynyk questionable, and that is it on that side.
I think Kelly O's officially out, if I'm not mistaken.
Officially out, okay.
Yeah.
I did not see that. So no Kelly O, and then Messi and Zion are still questionable. Zion, personal reasons. Do you have any lean, I guess, right there. Start Pelican side if you can, because that Zion Q-tag, if he is out, I mean, that changes some things. If both of them are in, I don't know. If you're sorting by value, no one above 5, you're sorting by ownership. Not a great spot if Zion is in, it looks like. But yeah, break down this one.
Yeah, if somebody in chat, I mean, I'm like 95% sure I got the notification a couple hours ago on Kelly O. But it makes sense. Yeah, there's no reason for these Pelicans to go out and play. They're not going to make the playoffs. I believe they've either won more or lost and they're officially out of playoff contention, or if they aren't already, technically they are. So no reason to push it. Zion's personal, so you can't really have a lean there. I would just assume like there's no reason to, to go ahead and push him out there. It's ugly. I mean, I think personally, the Pistons are going to be so motivated after what happened on, what was that, Saturday night? Maybe it was versus the Thunder, with the Cade ejection and a lot of talks about the refs.
Yeah. Saturday, by the way, I'm still seeing questionable.
Okay. So let me note that. So anyways, moving forward, I approach this game like he was out. I would anticipate all these guys to be out. That's going to bump, guys like Carlo and Jose and Trey Murphy. But the Pistons, I think they're motivated, and I think the defense has been, pretty good recently. So not going to mess with it. The rim defense is going to be really, really bad here for the Pelicans, obviously, especially if all these guys are out. So my only real plays here are going to be the guys for the Pistons side. And I believe if you sort by value, you're going to see, I can't really see it on the screen here, but you're going to see Harris, you're going to see Duren, you're going to see Cade. And that's kind of where
hardest Cade, Duren. Yep.
Yeah. So that's exactly where I stand. I mean, if Tim Hardaway's on there, I'm not getting to Tim Hardaway in this spot. Sorry. But no, I really believe these guys are motivated, specifically Cade at 9,800. Even if he doesn't get, kind of what we talked about in the previous game, not getting that last rotation of 5 or 6 minutes, he's sub 10K. I want to attack it. I absolutely love it. The Duren stuff, I mean, if there's one player that it's kind of like somebody you keep going back to, regardless, all the problems they have, like a toxic guy, all the problems they have. You want to keep going back. I don't care if he's not going to get 30 minutes. It's a great spot. But it's starting to get to that point. 6,800 for a guy that his minutes ceiling is 31 minutes, I would say, 32 minutes maybe. It's an outstanding spot. I'm going to want to get there. He's getting some ownership, but I think I might stay away tonight and hope he doesn't have one of his ceiling performances. You can make a case for Tobias Harris at 5,800. More of kind of, his scoring is going to be kind of in the mid-range, low post area. And, these are kind of matchups that he's able to produce well. Now, the second the game's, kind of out of contention, he'll be off the floor. So that's just kind of an okay value play, I would guess. And then, jumping over to reiterate on the Pelican side, I mean, obviously if Zion is ruled out, you can go to Trey Murphy at 7,400. The Carlo stuff, his price is up, so it makes it tough. The Jose, the Jose at 5K, that makes it tough for me. I guess you could make a case if Missy and Zion are both out that Mo Bamba would get some minutes at 3,500. But I don't love that. It's more of, sorry, I kind of, went too long on this game, but my thought process is that these guys are going to miss for the Pelicans. That's going to bump Trey Murphy. No CJ for me. You can make a case for Jose. You could make a case for Carlo, but his price is up. And you could make a case for Mo Bamba at 3,500 as value. And then from the Pistons side, I'm going to approach that these guys are motivated. They're pissed off about what happened the other night. And, what is a huge spot for them versus one of the, if not the best team in the NBA, one of the best teams in the NBA, trying to, continue to fight in the game. And it was some BS as far as officiating goes, but now the price is down a little bit on Cade. I absolutely love him, and so does the field. Tobias Harris is okay. And then Duren, I'm going to battle with minutes at 6,800, but an outstanding spot for all three of those guys.
Great breakdown. I really don't like this game much, though. If Zion and them are out, like if Mo Bamba was starting, I'd always have interest at 3,500. Assuming he's not starting, though, tough for me to get there on a 10-game slate at just the center position. I wouldn't mind Bruce Brown if all those guys were out and Bruce Brown was starting. I'd be fine with him at 4,300. The main guy would be Trey Murphy, though. The price has finally come down, not in the 8K range, 7.4. If there is no Zion, he'd be the guy I get to on that side. Still, by no means do I love it on this 10-game slate, though. Piston side, I like Tobias on 5-game slates. I don't like him on 10-game slates. Duren, you made a lot of good points about the minutes. Center's good. If you use one of those center spots, you better make sure you probably get 6x on a slate like this. It should really
He
just
needs like low 40s, right? You
Yeah.
know, when you really look at it to be able to ship. And if he gets his 30, 29 minutes again, like how probable is that? And then a last thought on him, sorry to interrupt, but when you watch these Pistons game, they're not like posting him up. It's all the roll stuff. It's all the putback stuff. So that's why like when people see the matchup, they're like, oh, this is great. But like realistically, how often are they going to him in the post as a scorer? And it's more just on the roll stuff or the putback stuff.
Yeah, great shout there. Cade would be my favorite for sure on the Pistons side. We have enough value on this slate. Like I'm more likely to lock in one of these studs from early than I am right now, like a fringe value play, because those fringe value plays can become a lot worse because if anything opens up late, it's value. It's not like some star magically emerges or whatever. So yeah, I like Cade sub 10K, plenty of upside right there. And it's 6.5-point favorites. That's the last thing I was going to mention. If Zion and all these guys are ruled out, I'll be curious where that line goes. But just say it moves to 8. If it's an 8-point,
I think the spread is 8 right now. I think it moves because this morning, what do you have on Sabre right now?
I'm looking at DraftKings Sportsbook, 6.5.
Okay. Then it went down. So then what would that be? Zion's in?
If it was 8 and it's now 6.5, that full 1.5 is telling me then Zion's probably in, which to be honest, doesn't change my thoughts much. I already don't love Pelicans. I just wouldn't like Murphy. But I would like Cade, just like Cade, a closer game, a more competitive game, like is where you want Cade. Now, if it was 8 points, I was going to say 5 minutes left and it's an 8-point game. I always say this. Cade's going to be in that game. So it's not 16 like we talked about. It's not 12. It's still single digits right now. But yeah, it did go to 6.5. So maybe that's signaling Zion might be playing. Hopefully we get the news before lock. At least if you pretend lock's at 8 Eastern, you will get it. Very well could get it before that Pistons-Knicks game, though.
And this is more of like a strategy thing, right? To mention what you said, like, let's say we don't have the news and you can't pull the trigger on one of these games. With 7 more after, what is the time breakdown? I guess, 6 more after that? You can find, unless he goes, for one of a nuclear, one of the best games of the season with Cade or with Zion or anybody we talk about before, you can make it up later in the slate too. So, interesting stuff.
100%. All right, let's keep it rolling. This next game at 8 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Timberwolves, 8.5-point favorites over the Indiana Pacers, 228.5 total in this one. No injury news on the Minnesota side. They are healthy. And Pacers side, no Siakam. Big news there. And then we have Tyrese, Miles Turner, and Aaron Nesmith all questionable. So big news on the Pacers side in terms of Q tags. And there's no Siakam. Man, what stands out right away to me, this freaking Minnesota team, what is it, 13-0 since Julius Randle's been back? I shit on the guy all the time, and they're 13-0 with the dude. So maybe I have to eat my words a little bit. In terms of DFS for the Timberwolves, they're pretty tough to play fully healthy on a 10-game slate, in my opinion. Prices are all very fair. Sure, Ant could get there. He's competing against a lot of guys in that range, though. Randle's expensive. Dante seems fairly priced, but I want 33 probably from them. Like 10-game slate. It's not a 5-game slate. It's not a 6-game slate. I want 90th% ceiling outcomes. It's harder for me to get to a fully healthy team. So I don't love the Timberwolves. Pacers side, though, no Siakam already bumps people like an Obi Toppin. Then with all these Q tags, as you can see right here, Turner, Tyrese, Nesmith, we got to wait for news. Like if no Tyrese, TJ McConnell would look really strong. There's no Miles Turner. Thomas Bryant starting at min price 3K, if that's where they go, looks good. So this is part of the reason why we don't have this news before that Knicks Heat game. And even if we did, that game's still not great. Like we're going to get really good plays, or at least potential really good plays as the slate goes on. So yeah, mainly Pacers side to talk about. I don't love Timberwolves. What about you?
Absolutely. Just to touch on the Timberwolves stuff, I mean, it's kind of ant or bust for me, to kind of talk about his game last night. If for some reason we see all of these Pacers miss, it's kind of a similar spot. I mean, it's not, the nut spot versus the Jazz's guards, but it's going to be a double-digit spread. The Wolves are at home, so his price tag is cheap enough where I'm okay with it. And we've seen, plenty of games like this, specifically not last night where I don't believe he got a minute in the fourth quarter, but he had 41 real life, if I'm not mistaken, and 31 minutes, so it's kind of ant or bust for me from that perspective. And then, interesting stuff I want to bounce off you. So Halliburton sits, TJ McConnell gets asserted. I would assume so. I mean, maybe Ben Shepherd, but that would mean Neesmith and Nembhard are both going to be, playing. Well, I know Neesmith is questionable, but with those two, I think you could throw in Ben Shepherd. If Neesmith and Halliburton are out, does it become what, McConnell and Mathurin as a starting lineup, right? I would assume so.
I would think.
And then my question is that we've seen it like this in the past. We assume Toppin is starting. Do we see like a weird thing where Walker starts instead? I'm still okay with Toppin off the bench for sure, because this exact spot 3 months ago, he came off of the bench and he was a little bit lower owned and still went for like 40 DraftKings points. But I am a little, hesitant. I know we have him asserted in the starting lineup, and I think that is the correct call. But I would be interested to see if Walker does get the start. That doesn't change, really anything for me. I think Walker at 3K really isn't going to be a concern of mine. It still will be Toppin. I'm kind of hoping Halliburton and Neesmith sit so we can play some $4,400 Mathurin. TJ would probably be my least favorite if everybody comes in, because I like the Toppin stuff more. I like Mathurin. We've seen games when he gets tons of minutes, he just shoots every time down the floor. So I'm okay there. And then obviously I agree with you, Thomas Bryant, pretty much the second or third most popular play in the entire slate if he gets to start at 3K. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand. I think this would be the classic example of understanding, what the outcomes are when the injury report does come out and the starting lineup comes out, and what ways you want to go, and think about that before, it comes out. So you're, not necessarily going through scenarios 30 minutes before or 30 minutes before the game starts, or, right around game time. It's going to be your decisions made 2 or 3 hours beforehand. If XYZ is out, I'm going to play A, B, and C. But to rank them, Toppin's going to be 1, followed by Mathurin, hopefully on the Neesmith news. And then if Thomas Bryant does get the start, he'd probably be my favorite with Toppin. If Halliburton and Turner are ruled in, I don't necessarily love the spot, but, they do get a little bit of bump in my eyes. So I'll kind of leave that there. And then to reiterate on the other side, it's just Ant or bust for me.
I was going to say, if Tyrese and Turner are in, that does most for me is just like Ant more than I otherwise would, because I think blowout risk is a little less. And the Pacers are trying. It doesn't do, I don't like Tyrese much. I don't like Turner much on this slate if they were to be in. I don't think they're awful. 6'4" is a big tag for Turner. Tyrese, I'd be a little more appealing at 8'6". Still got to do something big on this 10-game slate. Rio always talks about he's always a GPP play. He's put up multiple nukes where you absolutely need him in a slate. More times than not, though, he's giving you a floor performance where you're then hoping to min cash. But hey, that's with GPPs nowadays, with how top heavy they are, essentially that is what you want. My last thing for you, let's say you are right and Jarris Walker is starting and it is not Obi Toppin. It still sounded like you liked Obi at 3.6 off the bench. Jarris Walker at 3K. Is that a good play? Is that a play? Would it depend on ownership?
Yeah, I can't really get behind it. I mean, every time this has happened throughout the season, I just kind of still don't get to him and then play Toppin or Mathurin, whoever it may be. And I'm going to stick there. It's 3K. And you know what? Think about it like this. Let's say he starts versus the comparison to Thomas Bryant, right? Well, Thomas Bryant has so much more upside than Walker does, right? So when you think about it in terms of what you're saying, a 10-game slate, yes, he's 3K and he's helpful to the rest of your lineup, but you still need at least mid-20s at least, right? How many winners at 400 total points tonight would include Walker? I mean, a very small percentage in my mind.
I love how you broke that down. It makes it very easy. Maze, I debated clicking this or debating not, but 2 weeks ago, you were stroking this sport. Last I remember, all these late swaps on your phone, clicking buttons. NBA was your baby. Now just a couple weeks later, it's not your baby. But MLB is back in 10 days. Very, very excited for MLB. MLB sucks. I mean, there's a lot of variance in MLB. It's definitely not for everyone. But I will say SaberSim makes MLB a lot easier. MLB, the definition of a stacking sport. Stack exposure right here. You will be looking at stuff like this a lot when it comes to NBA. Again, we'll be screen sharing SaberSim on some MLB shows. Of course, we do have an MLB, more education MLB. Definitely check this out prior to the season. You can check out these other sports as well. But yeah, a lot of variance in it. If you pick the right team and they score 12 runs, promise you will have a lot of fun for that with that. Rather grind PGA 215.
Yeah, I think he got to his 99 overall. And not he did. He was chatting it up in the chat, dude. Absolutely love it. And then I'm looking up this Hans Zimmer guy. We got Rio saying Hans Zimmer. I don't know what that means. I got to be more dialed in, I guess, to kind of keep it simpler. So
I have zero clue who that is, too. Not a big movie guy.
He's German, dude. He's German. So, that's all I
Hans.
saw. I close it off.
Hans Zimmer. There you go. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next game on this slate. Speaking of Rio, here's Utah Jazz. Underdogs like they always are. 6.5-point favorites are the Bulls. 240 total in this one. Injury news. I mean, come on. Here comes Utah. Ready? No John Collins. No Colin Sexton. No KJ Martin. For the Q-Tags, Laurie, Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George. Going to the other side with Chicago, Giddey's doubtful, and no Lonzo, obviously still without Ayo, who's out for the year with shoulder surgery, but Giddey doubtful, Lonzo out, and a plethora of injuries on the Utah side. If you could start Utah for me, do you have any leans on these Q-Tags? And if some of them are out, what does that do for some of these other guys like a Collier, Walker Kessler, Sensabaugh, etc.?
I would assume that they all sit, right? There's no reason to play, right? It's just, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's just going to be all of the value. I mean, what's the point in rushing Clarkson back? What's the point of rushing George back? I mean, Market and I assume that he said Sexton's already
out. Not get fined.
True, but I mean, everybody else. I mean,
you just got to report it. No, I agree with you. You just got to do the reporting. But then he played. Laurie played that other game because they didn't want it. Just makes no sense.
Well, what's also frustrating is like watching the Raptors, like Scotty Barnes, and I know this has been going on. We'll get to the Raptors a little bit, but like that would be the best way to tank, in my opinion, right? Like is you come in, hey, be a facilitator, give it to these guys so that he gets his 20, 25 minutes and then not touch the floor, for the end of the third and the fourth quarter.
Or just send your best guys like Jamal Shed, bench him at halftime when he's plus.
Oh, that game was so frustrating.
Send Rodin to the G League after he drops you 30-something real ones or whatever because he's too good. Like, that's how you tank.
Well, what was funny? I was rostering and I actually made like 20 lineups last night. I had one with AJ Lawson in it, and he scored okay. But it was funny. I mean, he's the perfect guy, right? He gets to come up and chuck, and if it goes in, just take him off the floor and just be like, "Hey, you're too hot. Get off the floor." But anyways, coming back to this game, this is the game of the night. Great spot. Two bad defenses. Like I said, I assume all the questionable tags to sit, and that's how I am approaching this game. For the Jazz stuff, I mean, you had mentioned Collier to start at 6'1". Yes, absolutely. If these guards are out, he's going to be popular. We're going to get to them. And I know, you'll Rio chime in because this is your team, and I haven't watched much of Collier, but where's the upside with that guy, right? I don't think he's going to come in and drop like 25, 30 real-life points. Yes, he can get up his assists, but where's the upside at 6'1", right? We talk about on a 10-game slate, we have to see it low 40s at 6'1", at least flirt with that line. So if that's the case, I mean, I can't do it. It's going to be Sensabaugh and Johnny Juzang for me. I mean, both these guys are cheap enough. They've shown us upside, throughout the season in spots like this. So I would go there. And then, to kind of shout out Real, like he was talking about in the Discord, the Real, and he said it perfect in the Discord. Everybody's going to get to Vooch in this game at 7,200. And we're going to stare at Walker Kessler at 75? I think it's a much better spot. And once you kind of put that into perspective for me, it's going to be Walker Kessler over especially Vooch, who we expect, which I'll get to in a sec, but we expect 29, 28 minutes from. I don't think he gets above the 30-minute number tonight as far as minutes go. So that's where I'll kind of stand on the Jazz. Do you have anybody to talk about the Jazz before we jump over to the Bull side?
Man, I just never click like the Johnny Juzang's name. Like, what minutes are you expecting? So pretty much all these dudes are out, you think? So I just zeroed them out. It looks like these are the main guys that we're looking at. Like, how many minutes is Juzang getting? Does Cody Williams get? Yeah.
Well, I don't know mid-20s. Like,
okay.
I don't know if that's too many minutes in this spot or whatever it is. I guess, he's going to pop in value because of the price and because of, the 24 minutes that he may get. That's where I'll kind of stand there as far as his minutes go. But Sensabaugh, obviously, at 4,500 would be a little bit better for me. But who knows, man? It's the Bulls, right? And that's what the hard part is that, what's the team total here for them? 117. And I know that will go down a little bit if these guys are ruled out. But, more of a wait and see stuff, obviously, as we approach. Do you have a lean?
Chucking it. I like Juzang. The more I look at he's definitely chucking it. If he shoots the ball any bit efficiently, he can get you a 30. I love the Walker Kessler shout. I mean, these guys, assuming they're all out, if Collier has to play like 36 minutes, I'm down to play a point guard that's getting 36 minutes against the Bulls. If you think he does get it, he has a real price tag. But what other guys do they have to handle the ball? Like if there's no Keontae, there's no Clarkson, like Collier, if he's handling the ball for 37 minutes, I just naturally like it at the price. But I would. That's kind of exactly what I was just saying. Yeah. He'd have to handle the ball, handling duties 36, 38 if those guys are out. So I would just naturally like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, absolutely agree. Didn't we have a similar spot like this like a month or two ago where all those guys were ruled out in Collier? And that's what I keep thinking about was like, I don't watch the Jazz games. I'm like, where can this guy, get the upside from? So I'm not saying it's a bad play.
33 or 34 in that game, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. It was something like middle of the road, like didn't hurt you, but didn't help you type stuff. And he was popular. So it wasn't like a death sentence. Right. I don't know. I have to relook into that because of what I just said. I say, where's the upside come from? And then in the next sentence, I say, it's the Bulls. So I need to go back and look at that again. So, but yeah, jumping over to the Bulls side, at least for me, it's just right back to the well. It was against the Wizards. Okay, shot bad in 38. I'm guessing his tag was what, high fives at that point? Maybe he was up into the sixes.
Yeah, so I don't know it on that, but it was on 3-5, 7 for 14 from if that's the game he's talking, 30% usage. That was 2 weeks ago though. I feel like this situation happened longer. I don't know. That's part of the reason to be a member at SHIPIT Nation. Rio has a slate plan up here again. Too valuable to show right here. NBA slate plan. Definitely check it out and see what Rio's thoughts are. But yeah, keep it going.
Yeah, no, and then just to kind of shorten and close out this game, I think we're just going right back to the well on all the Bulls stuff. Kevin Huerter, Trey Jones, Kobe White. You could even throw Patrick Williams at 3,600 into the mix. The question for me to you is, well, two. I've done it multiple times so far. White, Jones, Huerter together, I'm good with. Yeah, the prices have come up a little bit, so it makes it tougher. But we could eat up a ton of this 123-point total if you kind of go that route. I think if Huerter gets hot behind the 3-point line, you do get assists, those 5-point plays I talk about. That would be my first question to you. I don't think you're going to say yes from the facial. And then the second would be, realistically, what is your what's the ceiling in your opinion? Does Vooch get above 30 minutes? I don't think so. But anyways, I'll pass to you before.
The Vooch one's easy. I don't think so. I mean, looking at this ownership and just that alone with the minutes, it's hard for me to have much interest in 7.3K Vooch getting that ownership. The stuff with Trey Jones, Huerter, White, part of me, the thing is all three of them will be pretty popular. All three of them are hitting some optimal builds. Some people that don't care about thinking about stuff like that, if people are already going to play those three together, and it feels like they do, if Kobe White's having his game, because he has a real price tag at 7-8. If he gets me 54 DK points, it's his game, I do think that hurts Huerter's shot attempts a little bit. Trey Jones can do a little more of everything, the facilitator, but they're also above 5K. Trey Jones is almost at 6. I don't know if I'd group it away. I am pretty curious on Rio's thoughts, but I don't love it. If I did do those three together, I'm almost for sure playing a Utah Jazz. And again, I really hope they're out, but I'm 100% playing a Collier. I don't even know how much Walker Kessler. I guess it'd be fine, but I would make that rule right here. Rules, add a new rule, manual, if, use at least, and then I guess you go all three. And then you edit player right here. So if you use Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and Kobe White, then use at least one. And then that's when you go to the other side. You go to Utah, Sensabaugh, Collier. Again, I don't even know. Would I just force a Collier, Kessler, Sensabaugh? I guess Juzang can kind of do it, but how much correlation right there? I would do something like this, but I don't know if I'd group it away. I don't love it with it being 10 games and people doing it, since all individually will have ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to touch
Rio,
on,
sounds like Rio would be doing something like this too.
Yeah,
but yeah,
good.
He does like the ifs. It does a lot. Saber can do so much with it. Really zone in on the path you want, which is exactly what you want when using an optimizer.
Love it. And then to touch on Matt's point, I got to fix Herder for sure. I just got done calling Pirtle Patel, so we're working up. We're working up. So.
I butchered Rishichet's name literally every single day since game 1. I don't even know if I got it right there, but you're totally
I caught
fine.
heat at the start of the season, so that was one of the ones I practiced. I got Ricochet down. But, it's funny. You're trying to watch these games. I watch a lot of them with, no volume, too. Because, and to touch, I know it doesn't talk to Slate. Some of these local announcers are so bad. So bad.
You like the Hornets guy?
I'm kind of on the Hornets side just because of, the style of play and how great he is. But what game was I listening to yesterday? It was the start of was it the Hawks? It was the Hawks and Brooklyn game. So is that the Brooklyn announcer? Because he used to play for Atlanta. I don't know who it was. I'm like, dude, you just spent 4 minutes of game time talking about your career in the simplest form. And I just couldn't do it. I had to turn it off. I'm like, dude, this is gross. Anyways, all right, I digress. We're done here. But this is a great game. Great game for me. As we get the injury news, I think we're going to get a lot of game stacks out of this.
100%. As you can see, just looking at ownership, a lot of these first 4 games, hardly any ownership. We didn't like it. You sort this game on both sides, and again, that's already zeroing out the Q tags, and that's not taking into consideration the new ownership projections that would be the case if all these Utah guys are out. But you can still see so much popping, and the 3 got Jones, Trey Jones, Kobe White, or Herder, Trey Jones, Kobe White. This could even probably be 18. All of them definitely getting a decent amount of ownership. Not a game you can ignore by any means. I would even debate having a min 1 rule in that game. And again, that's the only game, 9 Eastern, in a window of its own. 1 hour before you get some games, 1 hour after you get plenty of games. All right. Yeah, I know, Rio. That's the one game. He's not even on the slate, and I got it right. I'm learning, Rio. All right. Let's keep it rolling again. Appreciate everyone watching. 300. All we ask is like button, subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. And again, we are screen sharing SaberSim. You want to check us out at ShipItNation.com. Weekly, monthly, annual packages. Just content, SaberSim as well. As you can see, core, starter, ultimates, where they differ in the packages. The best value, definitely the starter, gets you 500 lineups, projections and ownership from SaberSim as well, and contest flashback to see what the pros are doing. Let's keep it rolling to another game, of course, with some injury news. Golden State Warriors, 4.5-point favorites over the Denver Nuggets. 237 total in this one. Injuries on the Denver side. Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Aaron Gordon all questionable. No Julian Strawther. On the other side with the Warriors, Post and Steph are questionable. No Pods. So a lot of big Q takes here. Do you have a lean? I saw I didn't watch yesterday's Nuggets game, but I guess Jamal, I don't even know. Did they yesterday, 2 days ago?
It was versus Washington. So what was that? 2
days ago, I want to say Saturday. Yeah, I guess he rolled his ankle pretty bad.
No, it wasn't. It was yesterday, right? Because on Saturday the Nuggets play. Oh, that was Friday. Yep, it was Saturday. Sorry, I'm done.
No, you're good. I didn't know the answer too, so I was leaning on you.
Because the Nuggets played the Lakers on Friday.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they went back to back. Lakers, Washington. I guess he rolled his ankle pretty bad in that one. Trisket, our man, Denver guy, said so. He said, to be honest, he said, quote unquote, he'd be surprised if Jamal played. Mm-hmm. That's really all I got there. I mean, they've been listing Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Jamal. They've been listing these guys Q a decent amount lately. They've been playing a decent amount. Actually, Aaron Gordon sat that game that Jamal played on Saturday. Are they going to sit
Joker
Jamal?
Was questionable that night, and he did play, obviously. Yeah.
Yep. So right now, how I look at it, Gordon, Yoke play, Jamal doesn't. I don't have a strong lean, though. Thoughts there? Thoughts with the Curry Q tag? He always seems as durable as it gets, and it's a big game in the West.
Yeah, a big game, and then it's nationally televised too, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he sits or plays tonight, and then I believe they play tomorrow against the Bucks, I believe, and so I think he sits that one. But you said it perfect. I think Curry's in. I'm really hoping Post gets ruled out because then we get some $3,200 Kayvon Looney. So I'd be excited for that. But I agree with you on the Nugget stuff. I mean, they're playing so many minutes, banged up. You know, you guys have a whole nother season coming ahead. You know, the NBA playoffs is what, 1 million games if you get in some of these long series. So it's another extension of a third of the season, essentially. So I would anticipate Murray to sit, maybe Gordon to play. He's kind of 50-50, but I think Joker plays. But not much I really love unless the value comes up. I mean, since the Jimmy trade, some interesting stuff. The Warriors are 5th in offense. and they're 4th in defensive rating, and they're 14-1 since he's come over. So what a change that they've had. It's nobody that I want to target realistically, unless we do get the value, especially with Joker at 13K. That's an outrageous, it's not outrageous for him, but just the thought of $13,000 is at least 75, right? You need to get to 80 to make it worth it, and what it does to you. So I'm assuming one of these guys are going to sit. If they are, we're going to want to get to these guys. Joker's obviously tough to get to at 13K, but let's say somehow Joker sits and it's Gordon and Murray. Obviously, these two others that will be in will get the bumps. If we find ourselves in a position where Murray and Gordon are ruled out and Joker's in, we were going to go right back to the well with Westbrook, right back to Michael Porter. Didn't Westbrook almost get a 50 bomb that night? What was that? Yeah, it was like 48 or something like that. It was right there. So I really like both of them. If that's the case, but I'll kind of leave it at that. It's going to be, make the decision if there's enough value and you think that this game, is high scoring. Obviously Joker is matchup proof. And if you get Looney and Draymond down low, like he'll win a lot in the post. So I'll kind of leave it at that. But I'm hoping, Joker could be in and Gordon and Murray are out, and I'm just going to play Porter and Westbrook together and assume it's an assist night from Joker. Doesn't have the high scoring into the 30s from real life points. Makes it easier to get to these guys that are still fairly priced on a 10-game slate. And then jumping over to the Warriors side, I mean, it's going to be 3 unless we get the news early enough for the post stuff where he's out. Then Looney's obviously going to be bumped. And I really like him. I mean, if he ends up playing 20 minutes at 3,200, we've seen plenty
him versus Thomas Bryant. Let's say
if Thomas Bryant starts, it's got to be Thomas Bryant. Yeah, it has to be. It's
not even close. The thing is, I'm worried about Looney. I'm never worried about foul trouble, especially when he's that cheap. But you got to worry a little bit against a guy like Jokic. And again, like he's not going to go out there and give you 20 real life points. Thomas Bryant actually could. I don't even think it'd be close between those two. But the ownership also would be a fraction. Like everyone's going to jam Thomas Bryant if Turner's out and he's starting right here. So you could play both in 2 center builds. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
That's an interesting thought. Do you think that's too thin there with the 2 center builds on 10 games?
I would think so.
Yeah, you can get the 2 studs, but the 2 studs you're playing are the extreme mid-tier build you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to produce 120, 130 points at least, but no, I can agree. And then to finish before I pass to you, I mean, it's really like Draymond, Jimmy, and Curry for me. Draymond's it's popular, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, from before.
He's getting ownership. I don't love Draymond getting ownership by any means.
That was I was going to say, like before sub 6K, the Nuggets have not been great defensively. Kind of falls into an instance where if some of these guys sat, you get 4 steals off of Westbrook because he's good for at least 4 or 5 turnovers every time he plays big minutes. So yeah, I mean, it's Green, Jimmy, or Curry. It's going to be Curry, then Jimmy, then Green for me, just because the ownership. But if Draymond was 8%, he would probably lead me off there.
Yeah, to be honest, don't like any of these Warriors, really. I prefer the other, like, give me Cade, I mean, I know it's different positions. Cat, I even think I like Hero more than Steph a little bit. Steph's fine. He just really, really has to have a great shooting night, of course, like he always does. 9-1's a fair price, though. If Murray's out, yeah. I echo everything you said. Westy and Michael Porter, I would definitely like, assuming Jamal Murray is out. All right, 4 games left. Let's keep it rolling. Pretty solid game, especially in terms of spread total when you look at it. Sacramento Kings, 3-point favorites over the Memphis Grizzlies, 237.5 total in this one. Injury news, Trey Lyles questionable for the Kings. That is it. Memphis side, no Ja Morant. Scottie Pippen questionable. Santi Aldama doubtful. So if we go no Ja and Scottie Pippen out, I mean, Luke Kennard.
Baby. I love Ross.
I look at him as a shooting guard. Do you think Bane would do more of the ball handling and Kennard play off ball? Or do you think, first of all, I got to shout out. He keeps donating 99 cents. Shout out Yobi Trice. Thank you. 1, 2, 3 super stickers. Very much appreciate that, Yobi. We appreciate the money. I would rather you keep your $3. I would love shouting you out anyway, but YouTube, I know, takes, like half of it or something. YouTube takes way too much than they should. But shout out to the $3 from you, Yobi. Very, very nice of you. Hope you're having a great day. Back to this one, though. Would it be Bane? Or Is it Bane or Kennard usually dribbling it up, playing the one if we see stuff like this?
You know
It
what?
doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. I think, that'd be more of a real question. I would assume Bane, still has plenty of touch time. But, especially with how fast they play, if like the ball goes through the basket, I would anticipate whoever's kind of closer to the ball, right? Yeah. They put the pace anyway. So might be more of like, kind of how the cookie crumbles when you get to that point. I hope Scotty sits. Scottie Pippen, that is. I want to play Luke Kennard at 45. And then the question is, do you make the decisions between Bane and Triple J? Like, who do you like before I tell you who I like? Because, obviously Bane's 9K and you get a little bit of a discount to Triple J, but I don't know. It's tough.
I think Jaren Jackson for the 600 savings with the power, like the forward eligibility. And it just feels like if someone were, I don't know if this is true, but if someone were to get me 65, I feel a little better that it's Jaren Jackson. I have no clue though.
I guess, yeah, same here. I guess the only thing, like, once you say that is like both these teams are big, like catch and shoot funnels, right? It's just tough for me to like stomach, because if he is ruled out, I'm going to go Luke Kennard at 45 and I'm going to make my decision between either one of these guys. I guess it's Bane because of the 3-point funnel, but I think it's a coin flip at that point. I think you're kind of, just trying to project stuff that necessarily isn't the best projectable thing, especially at the pace that they play for. So as of right now, I'll go Luke and Bane. But really, this is an interesting spot because 236.5, a very close spread, like what you said. I don't want to get to anybody like Jalen Wells, even Zach Edey in this spot at 48. I don't think he's going to get the minutes here. Don't leave anybody off of the bench. We're going to look for shooters in this spot. So for me, I'll keep it short, and it's going to be Luke, Bane, and then Triple J before we jump over to the King side. And then for the King side, I don't have much that I love. I think all these guys are priced fairly. You have I believe it was the hamstring stuff for Sabonis that, is in question here. Obviously, he plays through like every injury, but he's 9,400 in a high-paced matchup. Theoretically, we're going to want to get to like these Kings guards, but at 7,900, 8,700, 8,400 on DraftKings, it's really tough for me. And it looks like the field agrees here. So to kind of round out my thoughts, it's Luke and then my choice between Bane and Triple J, and then kind of reluctantly saying no to one of these Kings in a close high total game.
No Kings for me either. These prices are they're all right. Like 8-4 DeRozan, 8-7 Levine, 7-9 Monk, 9-4 Sabonis, Keegan Murray 5-9. Like, I don't need to mess with the bench players on a 10-game slate when we already have a ton of value. I'm totally good, and I want to fade the Sacramento Kings. If one of these dudes beat me, it beats me, and I'm fine with that. All right, 3 games left. Phoenix Suns taking on the Toronto Raptors. 8.5-point favorites are the Suns. 226 total in this one. Injuries on the Suns side. Bradley Beal doubtful. Grayson Allen out. Going to the other side with Toronto. No RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, or Jacoby Walter. It's the only new injury news there. Man, it's so hard playing this Toronto team. Orlando Robinson, I will say he's popping a good bit. Like, this number could even be a little higher. Maybe this is about right, assuming like Thomas Bryant starts. If we had no injury news or every single game locked right away with the injury news we have, I think this price would probably go up a little bit. If you just look, it's him and it's Chris Boucher. And are they even going to give this dude minutes? When I played Chris Boucher last time, Buddy got me a fat 0. And
wasn't he at the end of the bench too? If I'm thinking of the right picture, like he was way off the end of the bench. And that's what I would do too, man. I'm getting paid to play basketball. You're playing basketball. You want to hoop. And now, because you guys are taking for draft stuff, I get to not play. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable's right. So, Orlando being one of the only bigs has to look good. This Colin Castleton too. Curious to hear your takes there. But, yeah, it's hard to play a team that wants to lose. And, hey, you're doing so good. Yeah, now you're out halfway through the game because we don't want to win. Sunside, I guess I'll throw it to you this right away. Tyus looks strong because Rio asked it. Assume Scotty
Tyus by a million for me. Tyus by a million. I love me some Tyus Jones. And then it has to be Pippen. I think it has to be Pippen because you get the discount and a high-paced game. Well, I know Trey Jones at a high-paced game, but what? He's 5,800? 59.
Yeah, we're not saying play Chris Boucher. He's down there. I do not play Chris Boucher, but we were talking about that because when he doesn't play, that's why Orlando Robinson's popping even more. If Boucher played 18 minutes, Orlando Robinson I don't think would be as good of a play. But yeah, Bradley Beal's doubtful. We got that.
Yeah,
Talk about
I believe it was Rio or maybe somebody else in the Discord the other night. They said it perfect. So we can't play any of these guys in the Raptors. Rightfully so. I mean, like what you said, some of these prices are starting to come up. We don't know who's going to play. You know, like a Jamal Shed, like we talked about, he could come out and score 5 minutes and 5 assists in the first 12 minutes of a game and then be taken out. I am okay fading essentially everybody, because that was another thing too that I realized watching the game last night. I have one of my 20 lineups had AJ Lawson. I'm thinking, well, if he hits a couple threes here and they're up by 12 with 5 minutes left, he's coming off of the floor. You know what I mean? Like, so you can't even be justified in this. If Scotty Barnes and Quickly do end up playing, which I was kind of waiting for them to get ruled out in this spot too. I mean, we could still get it, I guess, but those guys are all going to play minutes in the 20s, and rightfully so. They're first half guys. They're looking to facilitate, in my opinion, so that they don't score too many points. So I am completely fine on this slate. And for the rest of the season, essentially, unless something changes, fading all these Raptors. And if the Raptors beat me on one of these nights, they beat me. You know, and then, you know, to talk about, I mean, AJ Lawson, his price is up too much. You can't get to him. I mean, if we want to talk about Castleton at 4,500, not that I'm super like team watch the tape, you know, but I watched that game. He's on his second 10-day contract, if I'm not mistaken, in a row. And this dude is raw, man. Like he's a great rebounder. It's pretty cool, but he had an open look from the corner off an offensive rebound, and it was a terrible looking shot. I don't know if it was right or left-handed. I don't know what it was. Obviously a brick. I don't think we get too much upside at 4,500. So maybe Orlando Robinson, but even then I'm pretty hesitant.
Makes sense. And what did you say for the Sun side? Just Tyus?
It's really Tyus. Hypothetically speaking, like the question is going to be like, do you get to KD or Booker? And I just saw it in the chat and I couldn't agree more. I don't know. We might have to scroll up, but they do seem really like just disinterested in basketball. Like, you know, they don't want to play. I mean, hypothetically,
Coach Bud. I mean, Coach Bud's a donkey, but every other day you see those two yelling at each other.
Yeah, but I mean, if I had to pick between the two, like it'd be Booker. I think he's got a little bit more upside. I don't mind the pairing. You know, if we take all like the emotion out of it and it was just basketball, it would be Jones and Booker combos that I really like. I mean, to get some of these guys that are popping, I mean, Ryan Dunn's been playing really well in the minutes that he's getting. He's 3,800. I don't know how sustainable that is, but, you know, he's okay at 3,800. Nick Richards at 44. I mean, he's popping, but I don't think he's going to get enough minutes. I mean, if you project his minutes at like 21 or 22, I don't think it's a good spot. And that's kind of where I leave it. I mean, you can always make a case for Royce O'Neal, I guess, but it's really just Tyus Jones, and then make your decision if you want to get to essentially just Booker for me and then move on and kind of hopefully you'll eat up enough production there that you don't need a stack with the Toronto side.
I'd be done. I'd be good with Ryan Dunn. The last two games, double-digit shot attempts, 22% usage, 3.8K, small forward, power forward eligibility, which I do like that at the forward position. And if we are backloading for a lot of these spots and you're waiting on some of this news and we don't get any news, like you might need that value with Ryan Dunn. I'd argue he's better than a lot of these other early values we talked. Like, would you rather him or would you rather O'Shea Brissett? Let's assume
Yabu's out. Probably Brissett.
Yeah, like, I probably do too. I like Brissett there. But that's kind of the stuff you are comparing. Like if Yabu's in, like you'd probably rather Ryan Dunn or at least take shots on other value you can get later that way. But yeah, I hope Yabu's out. I always like playing O'Shea Brissett. But yeah, I'd be good with Ryan Dunn. Shot attempts are up. Usage is good the past two games. So I'll take that at 3.8.
And my kind of thought here is like, I am simply like, I wrote down here, just play Tyus Jones, 4,300 in spots like this. He scores points. You get, you know, this great matchup, you know, with a bunch of G League guys. So I'm just going to play Tyus Jones and move on.
I like it. We have 2 games left. Again, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Very much appreciate. Washington Wizards and the Portland Trailblazers. Portland 6-point favorites. 231.5 total in this one. Injuries on the Washington side. No Coulibaly, no Malcolm Brogdon, and we have Marcus Smart questionable. No Corey Kispert as well. Portland side, no DeAndre Ayton, Jeremy Grant, or Robert Williams, right? We got Robert Williams,
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant, Ayton all out, and then Jabari Walker, doubtful. I believe he's out as well, or is it still doubtful?
I'm not necessarily sure on that. I don't think it really matters to me personally. Yeah.
Let's see.
And then did you get
Kamara's
the Kamara? Kamara was late. Yeah, that was late. That was kind of like the midday stuff when it came out. So I'm trying to click something here so I can see the new value. But anyways, you continue. My fault.
No. It's no Ayton, Grant, Robert Williams, and then Kamara is questionable, which you said was midday. I mean, man, that means some of these Portland guys already look to be pretty solid plays. If they're without Kamara, I think these guys might even be better. That's 32 minutes if you're looking at SaberSim. Would be off the court having to go to others. Other side with Washington, these guys are projecting well. Shout out to Alex Sarr. What a game he had on Saturday.
He finally did it. What'd they give him that night? Like 33 minutes or something crazy like that? I was like, hell yeah, dude. I've been wasting money on this guy all season long, dude. I loved it. And then they returned the favor with 6,500.
Don't worry. I ain't forgetting about Chumo Kiki. I'm not sure about him. All right. What are you doing in this one? This one looks pretty good.
Yeah. Wizards have been a little bit better defensively as far as transition goes, but they're still giving it up at the rim. So immediately leads me to like Klingon, right? With all these guys out, I am a little, hesitant with them playing last night. Like, but I mean, he's sub 6K. He fills up enough buckets where like he could flirt with a double-double, I guess. But I mean, this is one of those don't overthink it and just play $5,800 Klingon, I think. Especially as the season winds down, I think he'll continue to get the same minutes, but am very hesitant about that. And then, with the Kamara stuff, I would assume that, he does sit. He had a great game last night, played a few extra minutes. But it's Simons and Denny for me. I mean, 7,100 if I'm not mistaken. The question for me is going to be kind of the same thing. I'm going to play Klingon and make my decision between Denny and Simons. I lean Denny there. He did not start the game off very well last night and still got to a reasonable value in the mid-tier. But that's kind of where, I'm looking for. I think, before the Kamara stuff, Sharp was a little bit too expensive. I did, kind of note, though, that like after Kamara having a big game, getting a few extra minutes, I was curious to see if he ends up getting some minutes. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, Cooper. You do like Sharp.
If Kamara's, he's one of those dudes for me. But like when I know he's going to get minutes, like if Kamara was out, you give me 30 minutes of shade on Sharp, I am totally in. He's just
What is he? Isn't he like 6,500? You're okay with that? 67.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay, cool.
He was 57. I think he'd be with the game being so late. Like people got to be smart though. They're going to save roster spots for most of these stuff late.
Yeah, the field has really evolved in terms like that, specifically over this season, where it's like in the past you used to be able to get like these games all like 5% owned, but they've evolved. Everybody gets better, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I'm all season long I've struggled with the Blazers. Just trying to like kind of at least some of these not secondary guys, but kind of right. Like the Klingons are obvious ones, the Simons and the Denny's are obvious, but kind of making your decisions between like the Scoots and the Sharps and the Kamaras. I've done a really bad job of that this season. So if you're saying Sharp, I'm going to write that down and take a look at that. But really, it's those big three for me before I jump over to the Wizard side. I mean, 6,500 for Sarr, man, I really wish we could, but I don't think we can do it. He's hilarious to watch. But yeah, Sarr, I think he's a little bit too much in this spot. And that's going to bring all the kind of like the mid-tier guys into it for me, right? So I don't think that this is necessarily like a Jordan Poole spot. Like I don't see him getting to the low 40s in fantasy production at 7K. He's really low owned. So if he has one of those Jordan Poole type games, like I get it. But it's really just a decision between like Champagny and Keyshawn George for me, really. Like those are kind of the mid-tier options. And especially when I find myself with like Denny and Klingon, I'm going to want to get to maybe a Wizard in my lineup. And so really it's Champagny at 5,400, just playing outstanding, getting all the minutes, kind of filling multiple buckets. So he would probably lead for me. Geez, we have him at 30%. I didn't realize he's going to be that popular. So that might be a mistake of mine because I don't want to play $5,400 Champagny into 30% ownership on a 10
Let's say it's 25. What about that? Still too high?
I think 20 is my number. Yeah, I think 20 would be the number where it's like you're staring at like 19.5. It feels like a whole lot different than like 26, 25. So I really like Champagny prior to seeing the ownership. I'm sure that will definitely adjust a ton when we get to some of this value because, people will get off the mid tier and go down to cheaper options like the Toppins, like the Thomas Bryant's, places like that, and be able to elevate positions like this into like the 7Ks. So I think that ownership does come down a little bit. So I'll kind of wait and see, but I did like him the most. A little Keyshawn, SARS too much. And to get super cute, like I guess you could say like Bub Carrington, but with Smart, that'd be more of like a Smarts out type thing for me. But essentially where I kind of left this game, and I'll pass off to you to finish, Pool at 7K seems interesting. He's low owned, but I just can't get to it. And then it's really Champagny. And then I'm going to pick 2 of my favorite 3 or now 4 Blazers when I throw Sharp in the mix and kind of go from there.
I love it. Champagny was my only wizard. You talked me into little Keyshawn George, though, so I'd be good with that at low ownership in a game where, I like Denny. I like Klingon. I'm fine with Scoot. I don't love it. I'm fine with it. I like Shaden Sharp a lot, like I mentioned, and Simons 7-1. What about Simons? 7-1 is definitely you need him to do something. Can he go and get you 44 today?
I just think I prefer Denny at the same price. I know they're different positions, but it's like that. And even looking at like last night's game, I don't want to get into like team watch the tape too much, but he has to hit a couple of threes, really, like 7-1, 10-game slate. He's got to hit some shots, which he's obviously capable of, but he's got to produce like 11, 12 points, fantasy points from the 3-point line for me to like be in contention of scoring. So he's got to hit 3 or 4 threes. So I'd rather go Denny there.
I agree with you there. I prefer Shaden Sharp as well. What's going on, Colin? Appreciate you stopping in. 1 game left on the slate. Monster 10 game. Again, all we ask, like button, subscribe. Hit the like for our man BJ, giving you awesome content on this fine Monday afternoon. Los Angeles Lakers taking on the San Antonio Spurs. 9.5-point favorites are the Lakers. 230 total. Injuries in this one. Spurs side, no De'Aaron Fox. Nothing else to worry about in this one. Going to the other side for the Lakers, no Rui, no LeBron still. That is the only injury news there. Lakers side
was in question, but he's probable now, so he's playing. So
Yep. Luka's now probable. Is Jackson Hayes questionable?
I'm literally looking right now. Give me 1 second. Maybe you're faster than I am.
No, you got it.
DFS was questionable too. I think I saw right as soon as the show started. So let me make sure. Oh no, he's probable. DFS probable. Rui's out. Luka's probable. Okay, we're nails.
Says nothing about Hayes?
Yeah. No Hayes. Unless I missed it, but no Hayes.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty easy for me in this one. Luka looks good. Austin Reeves looks good. That's really all I got there. I don't know. Like,
you get behind a little Jackson Hayes at 51 with the Luka connection.
I've always liked Jackson Hayes. 51's a big boy price. Like, I don't know. I'll let you talk on that. It doesn't take much to convince me there. Luka's the easy play. Austin Reeves, he's not getting too much ownership at 8-9. I'm still always good with Austin Reeves. Spurs side looks like it's getting a little more ownership, but definitely not much. Castle 6-6. After that, doesn't look like too much ownership. Maybe a Keldon. I don't really know. But, yeah, I mean, Luka, Reeves, I'll let you take away this game how you want, but I want to hear your thoughts on Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, to start with the Spurs side, keep it really simple. I think we can approach it like this the rest of the season. Castle, Keldon, Vassell. Like, that's where I'm going to stand. Like, I see minutes, in the mid-30s for Vassell and Castle. That's, like, the way that I'm going to approach it. Keldon, like, the problem that I've battled with all season with Keldon is like, where do you get his 18-minute performance and when do you get, like, his high 20s, right? Because when he gets the minutes, fantastic. His price is up a little bit, but I think this is going to be, like, an ugly defensive game with a lot of points. Like, I don't think we'll see very many game stacks, but it is 10 games, and a lot of these games will finish, and like you'll think you're pretty set, and we could just see like the second half of this game just get ugly. I mean, since the Wemby stuff, the Spurs are giving up like 130 points a game. They gave up like 140 to Charlotte, 120 something or 118, some high 118 total to the the Pelicans. I think it was 117 versus the Pelicans, but and then to throw on top of that, why I think this game's ugly is this is 6 games in 8 nights for the Lakers. So, LeBron, before he was injured, was talking about the schedule being so tough because of the postponed game that they have to play. So I'm just going to keep it solid. I'm going to keep it in the mid Ks. I'm going to go Castle, Vassell, and then Keldon as 1, 2, and 3. I think I'm going to play a ton of Castle for the rest of the season because I'm going to want to get pieces on the other side of the game, and I'm going to want game stacks coming back. And then as far as the Lakers side goes, I mean, yeah, we can joke about Jackson Hayes, but I think he's like obviously eats up the center spot, but for your late slaters and your showdown guys, I don't even know if it's a good contest. Like, I don't mind it. I think the Spurs are going to give up another 130 points here. And I think, Luka's going to score it well. Reeves is going to score well. But both those guys, have pretty good assists. Well, Luka's is outstanding, but Reeves is, gets assists as well. And I think that benefits, specifically Jackson Hayes down low. So my answer to the question is like, on this 10-game slate, it's going to be so tough for me to click on an $8,900 Austin Reeves. And I get it. And I absolutely love like how he plays with LeBron off the floor, but 8,900 is like a real tag. I mean, he's $100 cheaper than Bane with no jaw, right? So as much as I want to like pair up Luka and Reeves together and just say, hey, I'm going to eat up like all of the assists and the majority of points from this team, it's really tough for me to where do you stand on $8,900 Austin Reeves?
Would you be fine if he got you 49 DK points like he got you last game?
Yeah, I get. Well, see, fine. Yeah, I guess, right? But
I think that's what it comes to. I don't think he gets 60 plus very often at all in this spot with Luka next door, and it's a 10-game slate. So right when you say that, like he's 8,900 at point guard. So let's unclick here. There's some good ones. Let's check it out. Point guard. Let's sort by salary. Right in this range. The thing is, I didn't love Steph. I didn't like Booker much. Thought Tyrese was fine. A lot of injuries at the point guard spot. Like, I definitely like Caden more. Luka looks strong. But how do you compare him if Tyrese plays, Steph plays, Booker plays, like this range right here? And again, we have him way less projected, us and SaberSim, the average. So I think ownership has to be lower too. What are your thoughts when you look at it like this?
Yeah, I mean, I have it here on the iPad too, I guess. Obviously, it's going to be Cade, right? The real question when you say all those guys, it's going to be Cade, it's going to be Curry that I like more than him.
For sure more.
It's really Halliburton, right? If he ends up coming back in, I think it's still Reeves like in a bubble as far as like hypotheticals, but man, that's going to
Reeves could be like 2-3%. I don't love Reeves. I don't love it. I think he's fine at 2 to 3%. On non-Luka teams, Luka's going to get ownership. You hope it's more of a Reeves show. Other stuff happens, a little leverage, I guess, that way. I wouldn't play them both together at this price tag. But yeah, like if I don't think a guy really has too many 60-point outcomes at 8,900, and he has it, but like in this spot, I shouldn't really like him too much on a 10-game slate when I say it like that. But again, 2%, and I just don't love who he's all around too. But again, maybe that just has me like looking at point guard. Give me these guys up top or give me these guys in the mid-tier or lower is kind of what I'm seeing. Like, I just don't love this range.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. And I think a lot of it is going to change, like your whole construction when we get this value. Like, we're going to look up and
Collier. If all these Utah guys are out right there, there's so much. This slate's going to be a lot of changing. You got to be locked in on your computer and be dialed. And
there's no way you're going to find yourself, I think, in that spot when we're going to get to play Toppin and Thomas Bryant together, and throw in like a Cade, right? But I don't know. I would agree. I think if you're making a ton of teams, I would finish with Reeves without Luka and just hope it's one of those games. But
yep. Awesome stuff, BJ. Anything you want to wrap up? 10 games. Again, for me, moral of the story, you're going to have to be by your computer. 7:30 Eastern lock time, so 30 minutes, a little bit later. And it's nice that we got – so after this, 8 Eastern, you have an hour. Then you have another hour. So at least, you can eat dinner in between, do whatever you got to do that way. You don't have to be every 30 minutes. But you will have to make sure, just like any time in the NBA, but especially today, you are 15, 20 minutes before that lock time. You are checking in, you're updating projections, you're late swapping SaberSim, you're doing whatever you got to do to make sure that you are on top of it because other people playing NBA, they're on top of it. You need to be around your computer for this sport. Today, absolutely no difference. Yeah, any final thoughts on your end?
No, just don't get tied up. We're going to get value. Or, don't get tied up in all these early games. Play Tyus Jones and wait for value. That's where I'll leave it.
There you go. Yeah, there we go. Happy St. Patty's Day to all out there as well.
That's crazy. That's today, right?
I think so.
Dude, I don't know, dude. I'm in dad mode. I don't know when all those drinking holidays are. I know people are partying this weekend, but I didn't realize it was
I think they were partying this weekend for today. But I think
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day is today. I don't even know for sure, but
Yeah.
that's what I thought I heard. You bet, Al Money. Thank you. Thank every single one of you for hanging out with us. We don't do that here. We ain't no picking, like, this is our play of the day, this is that. That's not how we roll around here. So if you want who BJ likes, all you got to do here, NBA, GPP core report, check it out. You can see his, you can see Ham, you can see Rio's, you can see my cash report right here. That is the flag plant if you want to say, but yeah, not a picks plays like that here. All right, good stuff, BJ. Awesome work as always. 10 games. Stay locked in, stay dialed into the computer. Hit the like, hit the subscribe on the way out. Very much appreciated. And again, if you do want to check us out, you want to check out us and Saberson too, SHIPITNation.com. So many different options. Free to choose from weekly, monthly, and annual. Definitely do get in the Discord if you do join as well. Good luck, everybody. Good stuff as always, BJ. I'll be back with Rio tomorrow talking some hoops for BJ. I'm Titletown. Good luck. Be safe. Peace.